guys, welcome back to Mrs. Twinter's math class. We're going to get started today with lesson 7. We're going to be multiplying whole numbers by fractions using bar models, or some people call them tape diagrams. So I think this will be a really easy way when you can see a picture to show what parts of wholes are. So today our application problem is Mr. Peterson bought a case of 24 boxes of fruit juice. So we'll write that down. Okay. 1/3 were grapes. And it says that 2/3 were cranberry. Okay, so it wants to know how many were of each flavor. So what we're going to do is we're going to do 24 boxes. So if we draw a tape diagram, which we can draw to almost solve any math problem, we know that this whole thing is 24, right? And it tells us how many parts is it divided into? 3, right? Well, if each one of those is 3 parts, what is it each one of these equal? Each one equals 8, right? Because 8 times 3 is 24. Well, if 2 of the 8 were cranberry, how many is that? That's right, it's 16. And how many were grape? 8. So that's just kind of an example of what we're going to do today. So I hope that you can follow along. And if you have any questions, remember my office hours are from 9 to 10 each morning and also noon to 1. You can call in anytime in the conference section. Also, if you have questions about math, you can call Mrs. Hubbard or Mrs. Danner as well. So let's get started with our first one. Okay, the first one we're going to do today is 3/5 of 35. Okay, so we're going to draw our bar model. And we know that this whole is going to be 35. Right? This whole part is 35. And it tells us we're going to divide it into fifths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, we know that 35 divided into fifths is 7. Right? And if we have 3 of those, 3 of the 5, 7, 14, and 21. 3/5 of 25, or 35, I'm sorry. 3/5 of 35 is 21, right? So we can also do that with a word problem. I think this is kind of important. We probably haven't talked a lot about dozen, but a dozen equals 12. So this problem says Mary buys 2 dozen roses. So she buys 2 dozen. That means she buys 24 roses. And then it says that 3/4 are red and the rest are white. So 3/4 are red, and then we don't know how many are white. But the question wants us to find out how many are white. So if we draw this, and we know that this whole thing is, right, 24, and it tells us right here we're going to divide it into fourths. Well, what is 24 divided by 4? Each one of these are going to be, or what times 4 is 24? These are each going to be 6. And we know that 3 out of the 4 are going to be red. How many are white? That's right, 6. So it would be 1/4. 1 out of the 4 is 1/4 is white. 6 roses are white. Very good. So let's try another one. We're going to do maybe 2 or 3 more together. Okay, so Rosie has 17 yards of fabric. 17 yards of fabric. And she uses 1/3 of it to make a quilt. How many yards did she use? Oh man, I'm nervous. I feel like this is going to be fractions. Let's see. So if this is 17, right, and she uses 1/3, we're going to divide 17 into thirds. That is a little tricky, but we can do this. 17 divided by 3, right? And that goes in 5 times with 2 left over. 2 out of 3. Each one of these is 5 2/3. So how much, it says, how much did she use? How many yards did she use for the quilt? She used 5 2/3 of a yard. We could say 1/3 of 17 is 5 2/3 of a yard. So we took that 17, and 17 doesn't divide evenly by 3. That's why we had a leftover, and we had to make it into a fraction. All right? Ooh, this is a good one. Okay. 2/3 of a number is 8. 2/3 of a number is 8. What's the number? Oh, this is a good one. Okay. Well, so we have our bar model. And it tells us that it's divided into thirds. And it tells us that 2 of these thirds is 8, right? So what are each of these boxes going to equal? Well, what's 8 divided by 2? That's right, it's 4. Well, if these two are, that's got to be 4. So what's this whole piece going to be? That's right, 12. So the number is 12. Okay, let's do one more together. All right, Tiffany spent 4/7 of her money on a teddy bear. So she spent 4/7 of her money on a teddy bear. If the teddy bear costs $24, how much money did she have altogether? Okay, well, if we did this, we know that the bar is divided into sevenths. To draw seven parts, we need 6 lines. 2, 4, 5, 6. And we know that 4 of these, 1, 2, 3, 4, is 24. So we could say, well, 24 divided by 4, or we could say 4 times what equals 24, and we know that that's 6. So if this was 24, and this part is 18, we could do 24 plus 18, and we find out that she started out with $42. So I hope today that you have learned how to draw bar models, and I'm going to have you finish a Zern lesson to help with that, and then do a quick exit ticket, and you are finished for today. All right, guys, have a good day, and we'll talk to you soon.